Join us as we explore the aftermath of Starship's second orbital test flight and what the future holds for SpaceX's groundbreaking project. We'll delve into the upcoming upgrades and alterations set for 2024 and the ongoing excitement surrounding this game-changing endeavor. Forecasts indicate that 2024 will be an exceptionally bustling year for SpaceX. Served as a pivotal period, it will lay the groundwork for crucial missions such as Artemis and the years that follow. Following the recent orbital test flight, SpaceX's blueprint for the upcoming year is becoming clearer, promising significant implications for the Starship project. In the wake of the second Starship test flight, CEO Elon Musk has been answering a lot of questions from curious and excited SpaceX fans about the world's largest rocket, and recently, Elon let some interesting information out into the wild. SpaceX is close to leaving version 1 of Starship behind. What do these forthcoming plans entail? And how will they impact the trajectory of the Starship undertaking? Join us on today's episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my channel.
As we uncover the critical insights into SpaceX's upcoming plans for 2024. Forecasts indicate it will be an exceptionally bustling year, laying the groundwork for crucial missions such as Artemis and impacting the trajectory of the Starship undertaking. With the recent orbital test flight, SpaceX's blueprint for the upcoming year is becoming clearer, promising significant implications for the Starship project. SpaceX identified numerous issues resulting in over 1,000 modifications made to make significant strides in the last flight. SpaceX's Ipa-toktok flight will further this trajectory, serving as the foundation upon which SpaceX will rely to formulate new strategies. SpaceX currently has intentions for 144 missions next year, marking an increase of 44 missions compared to the goal of 100 missions set for this year. Although Falcon 9 contributes significantly to this objective, there is a belief that Starship will gradually expand its influence on SpaceX's activities, especially following the recent flight. If all goes well with the vehicle and licensing procedures, SpaceX could potentially launch up to 4 or 5 Starship flights next year. This translates to a Starship flight every 2.5 months in the upcoming year. This initiative aligns with the timetable for Starship's participation in the Artemis 3 mission. It is also known for late 2025 or early 2026. Consequently, the focus for the next year revolves around accelerating flight testing to achieve the current essential objective orbit. Subsequently, efforts will shift towards ensuring Starship is prepared for the critical lunar mission. Elon Musk recently announced the readiness of hardware for the Ipa-toktok flight. This signifies SpaceX's remarkably swift preparation, surpassing all expectations. The upcoming flight is anticipated to yield several noteworthy developments building upon the successes of the second flight, establishing the groundwork and paving the way for successive launches. To align with these designs, ongoing prototypes are in various stages of completion. SpaceX currently possesses the S-26 prototype functioning as a tanker, while main prototypes include the S-28, 29, 30 and 31. It appears that S-32 has reached its final stack steps. Booster prototypes including B-10, B-11, B-12 and 13 are undergoing assembly, testing or engine installation. Beyond vehicles, launch systems also play a vital role. Post the recent flight, the launch system remains predominantly in good condition. In the wake of the second Starship test flight, CEO Elon Musk has been answering a lot of questions from curious and excited SpaceX fans about the world's largest rocket, and recently, Elon let some interesting information out into the wild. SpaceX is close to leaving version 1 of Starship behind and mentioned that they are the very last of the V1 line, and well, that certainly raises a very specific question, one that we weren't alone in asking. Hey Elon, if these are the last of the V1s, then what's the V2 going to be? Luckily, Elon was still in the mood to talk about the future, and so he explained a little more. In response to a user on X asking about the V2 Starship, Elon says that the next iteration of the vehicle's design will hold more propellant, reduce its dry mass, and improve its reliability. Okay, that's pretty vague, but there is something in there that Elon is likely hinting at specifically. Way back in 2021, Elon was having a conversation on Twitter about the potential of Starship upgrades as time went on, and more specifically, the subject of adding more engines came up. Musk remarked that the ship is begging for 3 more vacuum engines to be added, and that the tanks would stretch to make room for propellant. Now, this could have just been some idle conversation. Most concepts like this don't survive the first couple of draft meetings with the engineers, but adding 3 more vacuum Raptor V2S under Starship would increase its payload lift capacity by roughly 50%, taking it from being able to lift 150 tons into orbit to 220 tons. So, that account for his more recent hints about increased propellant capacity, and the reliability improvements will likely come from just the application of lessons learned through testing. But, what about the bit about lowering the dry mass of Starship? Surely adding more propellant and bigger tanks and 3 more engines would do the opposite, no? Well, we're not going to pretend to know exactly what Musk is thinking here, but recent developments in metallurgy have been very successful at letting companies like Relativity Space and NASA work with lighter metals to make things like engine cowlings and fuselage structures. There's been no word on if SpaceX is intending on dabbling in some of this interesting new tech to get their weight down, or if they've found other ways to shave some mass off of their multi-story vehicle, but either way, they definitely need to consider trimming some weight off Starship if they intend to get some better lifting capacity off of it. Aside from the specifics though, the timing definitely lines up with SpaceX moving forwards with their design. These last 4 Starships, as I mentioned, should allow them to test deep into next year and give them time to construct more specific test vehicles for things like orbital refueling demonstrations and lunar landing attempts. With everything they are about to learn, it would almost be disappointing if they didn't make a better Starship. Elon Musk, 3 to 4 weeks. That is the latest word from SpaceX CEO Elon Musk as to when the company would be ready to launch another Starship Super Heavy rocket. In a response to questions on social media on November 19, Musk indicated that his company was in very good shape following the second test flight of Starship just the day before on November 18, saying, quote, "Starship Flight 3 hardware should be ready to fly in 3 to 4 weeks. There are 3 ships in final production in the high bay." By now, of course, we are all well aware that Elon's timeframes are more like guidelines than actual rules, but here he's being very specific and with good reason, because there's a huge difference between SpaceX having their hardware ready for launch and SpaceX having the authority to launch. Elon is 100% correct. A quick glance from the highway into Starbase Boca Chica shows that there are 3 nearly complete Starship vehicles in the main high bay. There's actually 4 in there, but one isn't quite complete yet, more on that later. We're also aware that the company has Booster 10 basically ready to fly and just recently transported Booster 11 back from the secondary test range at the McGregor facility. So, that's at least the next 2 flights, very close to being good to go, with a couple more waiting in the wings. SpaceX does still have to complete pressure and sireproofing testing, as well as some static fires before they can certify their next pair of launch candidates, but that would likely only take 2 weeks or so provided no major hardware issues were found during those tests. The rest of the time Elon was estimating is likely for the minimal repairs to the orbital launch mount and part of the tower. This is attributed to upgrades implemented over the previous 7 months, notably the water deluge system. The only noticeable concern seems to be the slightly dislocated ship QDR, which is expected to be resolved soon. However, considering the tight launch schedule next year, the lone launch system in Texas might not suffice. Therefore, SpaceX has developed an additional launch system in Florida. After years of delays, construction significantly accelerated by the end of 2021, surpassing initial estimations, including those of NASA. Earlier this year, SpaceX installed a Mechazilla arm on this launch tower, signifying the near completion of this system. In the upcoming year, SpaceX aims to complete final upgrades to ensure it is perpetually ready for Starship launches. This system will share the workload with the launch tower in Texas if SpaceX intends to conduct 4 or 5 Starship launches next year. Additionally, as it is built at NASA's Launch Center in Florida, it is primed to serve as the primary system for the HLS Starship launch mission to transport crew to the Moon. Apart from these 2 systems, SpaceX might contemplate constructing a second orbital launch system at Starbase, Texas. Although these blueprints lack clarity presently due to the tight schedule for Starship next year and impending crucial missions in the following years, construction of this system could commence as early as 2024 if the plan materializes. Moreover, to guarantee the advancement of future missions, SpaceX will need to address many issues related to its vehicles. One primary concern remains centered around engine reliability. Prior to separation, all 33 engines function flawlessly, setting a new benchmark in the aerospace industry. Unfortunately, following Super Heavy separation from Starship, the engines faced continuous failures. Engine issues thwarted Booster's landing, leading to its destruction just half a minute post-separation. Acknowledging the improvements in engine performance since the first Starship flight, there is a pressing need for consistency throughout the entire flight. SpaceX must persist in enhancing its engines, even considering a complete overhaul. The recent revelation about developing engines that eliminate the need for heat shields is a significant stride. These upgraded engines are slated to deliver increased thrust, higher ISP, and various other enhancements, indispensable for sustained performance throughout an entire flight. Upcoming Starship prototypes necessitate upgrades, especially concerning a fuel leak that contributed to the recent flight's conclusion. Exhibiting high-risk components such as fuel tanks, domes, and those proximal to the engines is imperative for both booster and Starship to execute the entire mission successfully. SpaceX is also charting the course for new iterations of Starship. Musk recently disclosed that the current prototypes represent the final models of Starship version 1. The version 2 prototypes are slated to be lighter, more reliable, and capable of accommodating greater fuel capacities. These upgrades are profoundly rational. Expanding fuel capacities will extend the duration of future flights, while reduced mass will optimize space for critical payloads like cargo, crews, and additional fuel. Above all, reliability will emerge as the key factor determining Starship's triumph, particularly in future crewed missions. Considering the planned launch of approximately 4 to 5 Starships next year, the existing number of prototypes may fall short. This necessitates the prompt production of new Starship versions to fulfill upcoming tasks in the following years. A new version might be anticipated as early as 2024 to align with SpaceX's forthcoming endeavors. But no matter the change, some elements will certainly remain, specifically the successes in the last flight. The primary accomplishment lies in the efficacy of the launch system. The recent flight, bolstered by the water deluge system, safeguarded the launch system and its adjacent infrastructure. Musk and SpaceX have confirmed that the water deluge system remains intact, requiring no repair or refurbishment. Furthermore, their surrounding infrastructure remained unscathed. These achievements stand out significantly, distinctly in comparison to previous flights. Consequently, irrespective of alterations to the Starship project, this system remains an important component, poised to play a fundamental role in future missions. Another notable victory revolves around the separation mechanism employing the hot staging method. This innovative mechanism facilitated a seamless separation between Starship and Super Heavy. Musk underscored the significance of the separation and the hot staging mechanism during the International Astronautical Congress in October. Musk emphasized the criticality of the separation process, citing it as the most precarious aspect of the flight. He further stated that if the engines ignite without self-destructing during staging, Starship stands a fair chance of reaching orbit. Given the successful debut of the hot staging mechanism, which effectively guided Starship through its most challenging phase, it's likely to remain an integral aspect retained for future missions, even amid potential updates or changes by SpaceX. The year 2024 is anticipated to bring forth various modifications and upgrades concerning Starship. All weighted updates, including specifics related to these aforementioned factors, are keenly anticipated in the forthcoming developments. Right now, we can gradually imagine an extremely exciting year of 2024 for the Starship initiative. Imagine a future where Starship shuttles effortlessly transport humans and cargo to the moon and beyond. That future is within reach, and SpaceX is leading the way. So mark your calendars and stay tuned. The countdown has begun, and SpaceX's future Starship is ready for liftoff.